Morning. Today there's a mantra here from Kena Upanishad or Kena Upanishad, one of the major Upanishads, ancient ones. And it is named after the first word. The first word is really Kena, but it became Kene by meeting with the Ishitam. In other words, the Kena is in here, just like here and here also. We'll see what it means in a moment, but chanting first. Om Kene Shitam Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Prathama Praiti Yukta Kene Shitam Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuh Shrotram Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti Kaudevo Yunakti. I'll do a whole line. Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti. In Sanskrit, the word for studying is the same as reciting, chanting. It is to get into the sound because the meaning also is in the sound. Let us do together, studying by chanting together. Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti. Each line has a real verb in it. It doesn't always happen. Many times there's what you call forms called participles or nouns that are connected. But here there's verbs, patati. And it starts by a question. Kena means by whom? By whom? Or with what? That can be either, depending on the context. By whom here? And Kena Ishitam. Ishitam, desired. Desired by whom? Willed by whom? Patati Manah. Or also Kena Preshitam. The Kena should be understood again. And sent forth by whom? Directed by whom? Now who, what? Mana, the mind. Patati. Patati means falls upon something. By whom willed and directed does the mind move and fall on its objects? You know, the mind latches onto something. Your attention is your mind, and then you think of it, and then it's either a good outcome or not. Are we in charge? So this is the question of the student in the text. The disciple asks, even to make that question, usually people think we are the mind, or whatever we think we are, we do. We may not think that we are who we think, but we act like it. It's the mind is the doer, really. Is the mind independent, right? That is the question. So to get this doubt in the mind of the student, sometimes the mind thinks things that make you suffer. Do we really want to say that we intentionally, freely choose to think like that? Or is there some other higher in charge, higher agency? Are we completely independent in our thinking or not? You can put this question so many ways. And Kena prana, after the thinking mind comes prana. Prana is the life force. Prana is the breath. But there are many aspects of the life force, so this is the general term here. By whom, again, it is the Kena. Prana, pratama, praiti is the verb. By whom, yukta here, commanded. Commanded by whom does the prana, which is the first of all the forces in the body. In the living body, if there is no life, nothing else can work, like the senses cannot work, etc., etc. The mind also cannot work. Therefore, it's called the first and foremost and in charge. Prana is the life itself here. And it's the energy in the body. So, commanded, yukta. The root in there is yuj, which means to join. But in English also you have to enjoin. That means to direct or command somebody. Pratama, praiti, praiti. By whom does this prana move and do its functions? Praeti, praiti. Once more, the second line. By whom commanded or directed does prana, the chief, the first force in the body, in the person, move and do its functions, all the functions of life? Is prana independent, or is there's a doubt, there's something higher, makes you alive or not? Further, kena ishitam, that same word, ishitam was neuter because mana, the noun, is neuter. Here is vak, vacham, it's a feminine, it means a speech. So, by whom desired? Desired by whom? Who is behind it? Do they, vadanti, they speak, imam, this, vacham, speech of theirs. When we say they, these people, when people speak their speech, what is behind it? Do you sometimes wonder, now, what made them say that? What made such and such person say such and such thing? What made me say that? It came out of my mouth, I can't deny it. Are we independent? Sometimes it just doesn't seem that way. The mind, of course, is behind your speech. You cannot speak it unless it's in your mind first. So all questions are connected. Chakshu, that's the eye or the vision. Shrotram, the ear or hearing. Kahu deva these are changes just not in meaning, just in sound. We call it sandhi. Kahu deva. Yunakti. Yunakti has got the same root as yukta. So let us see. What kahu? What kind of deva? What God? Is there some God sitting inside? What deity? What God commands and directs and controls the eye and the ear? What makes you see what you see and not see what you don't see. Sometimes you have 10 witnesses that saw something and the 20 different versions of what was seen. Even the same person can. I'm just giving some of the further thoughts about it. Chakshu Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti. What kind of deity is it inside of us that makes us see what we see and hear what we hear, speak what we speak, that makes us alive even? That is very important, this second line. But we are very aware that the mind sometimes goes to places that are very happy, and sometimes it goes to places that are very unhappy. What is really behind it? So the disciple, the student, has a full right to ask the teacher. And there would be the many levels on which something applies, right? Immediately, the senses, without the attention, the mind, would be going nowhere. You will hear and not hear, see and not see, if your mind is not with you. So the mind is behind that. Immediately, speech won't happen unless it's already something in the mind that wishes to express itself. But therefore it starts with that first question. What about this mind of ours? Are we really in charge? Or is there something more higher, hopefully higher? Let's chant it again in Sanskrit. Om Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti. And together. Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathama Praiti Yukta Kene Shitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshuh Shrotram Kaudevo Yunakti. A simple translation by our Guru from the early years of his writings and teachings, early 60s. It hasn't changed yet, though. The disciple asks, by whom is the mind willed and directed to shed light on its objects? By whom commanded does prana, the chief life force, move and perform its functions? By whose will do people utter their speech? And what God is it that directs the senses, including the eye and the ear? You can stay with that question. We have to try to feel, even right now, what brought us here. Why are we doing what we're doing, studying what we're studying, in the process thinking and speaking and perceiving, whatever it is? You can try to feel it yourself, and it would be maybe different in different situations. When you're gathered together for a higher purpose, to go beyond this seeming reality that is constantly changing. That reality which is constantly changing isn't called the ultimate reality. So sometimes we get into places where we want to get out from very fast, but when you examine this thinking, your own thinking, what makes you interested in this? There must be something higher than this changeable situation we find ourselves in. All thinking, all perceiving, all speaking, all moving is temporary and changeable. And there's something unchangeable. The next mantra in this Kena Upanishad will be about that. Maybe I should read it again. I won't even tell you the Sanskrit Guru's translation of the number 2. We'll take it in future. The teacher says, it is indeed Atman, the self, or the I am, by whose power the ear hears, the eye sees, the tongue speaks, the mind perceives and understands, and the life force, which is all biological and physiological forces, they perform their respective functions. The wise ones, understanding this principle, renounce identification with the body, senses, and mind, and transcending this physical plane, become identified with supreme consciousness. Thus they become immortal and eternal. The entire journey in one verse. No time today, but we will take that next. Might be an unexpected answer. Some inner self, not the ego self. That which is supreme in us, that is in charge ultimately of all our functions. And realizing that the sensory and mental phenomena are changing forever and ever. Transcending by detaching and transcending and becoming immortal by... This is quite a jump. So there's much commentary on texts like this, but you can make your own also. Questions are clear, yes? Are the questions clear? Then the answer should come clear whenever it comes. So what makes us think? What makes us alive? What makes us able to speak? And what makes us able to see and hear, and that represents all the senses. Is it some kind of deva inside? Deva actually means that which illumines something. So deva means a god, a light force from the root meaning. So there must be something there. Otherwise, I know when I'm distracted, when I'm not really present in the moment, I hear, but I don't hear. When I'm in the dining hall and not paying attention to my food, but talking or listening, I taste, and then I don't taste, and I have to go for seconds. Now, what was that that I ate? It happens to me. When I didn't pay attention, I didn't really enjoy. But anyhow, in our life, what is it inside? It is the I am, which enables everything. But which I am, right? So, Om Shanti, food for thought. Thank you very much.